So this is Kreo Plan, our 4D, 5D BIM software on the cloud empowered by machine learning with AI. And you can get a cost estimation and a scheduling for a construction project in the pre-construction phase. First of all, we need to log in into our application. The first thing we'll see is the project's page, and we can create a project in two different ways. First of all, we can upload a .bin file. This is the format that Kreo Plan reads for BIM projects, or we can log in into our Revit account and from our Revit software export the model using our plugin, Kreo plugin, to generate a project in the application. So the first thing we'll see when we access into a project will be the 3D viewer. In a similar way as any other softwares, BIM softwares have it. We have a model browser on the left-hand side of the screen with all the BIM items listed here. We can access to the properties palette in a similar way as well to Navisworks or Revit. We have the information they provide here as well. And we have a comment section where we can place comments inside the model, so the rest of the people intervening in the project can start chats to resolve different problems about the model. So we can move on to the model check, where we are first of all reading the model and checking the level of information and level of development. So as you can see, we have different types of mistakes or errors listed here. They are color coded, so we can understand the level of criticality as well. We have connections problems, intersections, layer sequence, analytical model, function pairs, missing category elements, MEP elements, missing material, system parameters, and structural layers. We can review all of these issues directly from the platform. We don't need to correct them in Revit. We can solve these issues directly in the platform. We also issue a list of possible mistakes of the building in an Excel spreadsheet. So the design team, the designers, can use this list to amend the project. We have also a requirements guide list. Here, ideally, would be included in a BIM execution plan. Once we are happy with it, we can approve this step and move on to the second part. We are led to the classification step. Here we read all the information of the model, all the different items, so we automatically classify them using Uniclass code, which is the standard in the United Kingdom for BIM objects, in models. As you can see, the majority of the elements have been already classified automatically by the machine. There are some uncertainties that we can modify or amend. If we click on Edit, we will access to the specific menu of the classification step, and we can, for example, select one item of the model which has not been classified yet. And we'll see that the machine gives us a level of certainty for the different classification systems that she thinks are the correct ones. In this case, we can see that we have an in-situ concrete case pile, high strength concrete. We can select this one from the list and assign it directly from here. So the mistake will be removed. If we do the same with the rest of the elements, we won't have any problems in the next steps, and the calculation will be as accurate as possible. Once we are happy with this, we approve the classification step. We move on to activity assignment, and here is where we link our database containing resources, containing activities and construction methods with the elements that we have already classified in the previous step. So we can select several databases or just one, and we press on calculate. As you can see, it's now everything assigned. There are some undefined items that we haven't resolved in the classification step. We can edit these assumptions as well directly in the application. So let's say we select this basic roof, the insulation layer, and we'll see these two activities assigned to this particular element. So we have an asphalt work with different options that we have selected from the database. These are the for this activity we have all of these construction methods. For this activity we have these ones. We can select directly from the database a different alternative. Once we are happy with this, we can approve it and move on to the next one, which is measurements. In measurements, we run a quantity takeoff for all the elements. In the same way, everything is automated, everything has been analyzed, there are a few elements not analyzed. Once we are happy again with this process, we can approve it, and we'll be getting into the results step. Here we can review all the different issues that we have been modifying and resolving in the different steps. So we started with 154 items or issues in the model, and we finished with 49. And we can move on to the dashboard. From the dashboard we'll see all the preliminary information for the project. First of all, we have the total cost pie chart, breakdown by different resources, as material, plant, labor, and indirect costs, so overhead and profit. And we can access to a specific cost estimation menu, where we can see all the activities that we have, or the machine has chosen for us in the validation process. We can distribute these work packages or trades in different ways. We are also NRM 1 and 2 compliant, so we can distribute these work packages by these layouts, and we can export different types of reports. So of course the cost estimation, but also bill of quantities, labor, material budgets, plant budgets. All of this can be exported into an Excel spreadsheet, so we can export it. If we go back to the dashboard, we can see we have as well available a resource allocation panel or chart. This can be seen as a procurement chart for the different weeks, months, quarters or years of the project. We know exactly how much we need to spend to be able to produce on site the different activities proposed. And finally, we have the cost metrics here, where we can distribute the work packages in different ways. And with it, we can have a really good understanding in a really visual way and quite quickly what are the most important work packages of the project in terms of cost. For the Gantt chart, as you can see, here is a conceptual one, but if we click on the Gantt button, we will be accessing to the high level one. We can review the entire project, all the activities will be listed here. We can as well just select few of the work packages that we would like to check in advance, in this case for example piles and foundation. We can apply critical lines and float lines as well for the different activities in the sequence. And we have linked as well labor and plant resources to this set of activities. So for example, if we are concerned about the use of the crawler crane for the foundation, we will be clicking to the specific resource and we'll see how many cranes do we need to use, for how long, and which days. No? So it's a quite detailed Gantt chart. We can also export this Gantt chart into XML format. So if you are using Primavera P6 or MS Project, for example, you can export this Gantt chart into these softwares and modify it or amend it accordingly to your needs. From the dashboard, we can access as well for the simulation. If we click on View, with the Gantt chart and the sequence of activities, and on the left hand side, this column will have the resources and activities for the project shown live accordingly with the simulation. So if we set a velocity for the simulation, let's say 9 hours per second, and we press on play, we'll see the proposed sequence for this project in particular. We can also isolate the activities happening in this exact moment. If we stop the simulation here, we'll see that even the Gantt chart is so detailed that we can review day by day what activities are going to be performed on site. If we go to the left hand side, we'll see the resources that we are going to use for these activities happening now. Here we can select from labor, plant or material resources, let's say concrete mixes in this case, and let's say crawler crane here. So all of these resources will be available in the simulation. If we move on to the activities panel or tab, we'll see all the activities happening at this exact time, the 25th of March 2019. I will see, of course, the name of the activity, the production rate on this day, the time frame for the activity and the labor hours required. If we click on a specific item in the model and we go to object, we'll see in advance which activities have been assigned to this particular object and which resources have been attached to these activities or construction methods. Then we can as well run different scenarios assumptions. So our machine is capable of calculating up to 12 different options for a same scenario. One of them being always the shortest one in duration, as you can see is the active one. The other will be the cheapest one. And the rest of the optimizations will be based on labor cost or plant or material cost and also resource leveling. So for the same project and the same assumptions run in the validation process, we can select different optimizations. If we would like to play with different scenarios, first of all, we will need to duplicate this scenario. It will appear down here. And as you can see, there is a lock on the left-hand side. This is due to the privacy of the scenario in this case. So if we would like to publish it, we would need to click on the ellipsis and publish the scenario so it will be available for the rest of the users or the people involved with the project in Kreo Plan. But before that, we can modify and edit several types of assumptions or apply constraints to our project and make it as accurate as possible. First of all, we have the work package distribution. So here we have listed all the work packages proposed by default in Kreo Plan. We can create new work packages. We can merge the proposed ones. So let's say that we have here the piles and we would like to merge them with the rest of the foundation. We can do that as well. And we can delete the work package so we have a new distribution now. As a next step, we have resources. We can limit the number of resources for the different work packages in terms of labor resources and also plant resources. As a third part, we have the sequence editor, so we can apply micro and macro amendments. For example, if we choose the floor carpentry here, we'll see that we have several activities listed down here, but we can create our new activity groups. We can also modify the sequence. Okay. So we can modify the sequence of activities. If we come to the to the model and we select a particular activity, we'll see that it has the possibility of adding a new previous activity or a new subsequent activity. Let's say we would like to add a subsequent activity. We do double click in the model and we select another item. Let's say this concrete wall. We select one of the activities we would like to place next. We click on approve and the whole sequence of activities will be modified. We can do this for all the different items in the model. Finally, we can apply as well main contractor's cost. So as a percentage, we can apply preliminaries, overhead and profit as well. When we click on next, the project will be recalculated based on the assumptions of this new scenario we have created. So if we expand this and we expand this one, we can see that now instead of 5 different options we have only 3. Again, these options will be always one of them the cheapest and the other the shortest. In the in the middle we can find different optimizations. If we activate this new scenario that we have created, in this case for the shortest period of time, and we go back to the dashboard, we'll see that the cost will be amended, and instead of being 2.2 will be 2.7. As you can see, everything has been recalculated. Also the sequence of activities that we saw in the 4D simulation, and the cost estimation as well. And finally, we have also a bid pricing stage or page where we can invite other subcontractors or specialist contractors to specific parts or work packages of our building. They will be submitting their own bids in terms of cost, in terms of duration as well. And it will be shown, their bids will be shown here, listed down here, so we can compare our own assumptions with our database, with our productivity rates and costs, with the one proposed by the different subcontractors or specialist contractors. And basically, this is Kreo Plan.